My name's Sarah Horne, and I am addicted to flowers. So can I ask, how many of you have received flowers in the last week? Oh, the last month? Yeah. The last year? Oh, wonderful. That's better. I bet that made you feel loved, didn't it? Yeah. Well, I want you all to feel the power of the flower today. So I've brought you all along, you've probably found it already, a very little gift with a very big message. It's a Sweet William flower, and the meaning of Sweet William is to get lost in a whole new world of wonder and enchantment. And that just felt very appropriate to me to bring that for you today. So, what exactly is a flower? Well, that's easy. It's just the seed-bearing part of a plant that's responsible for reproduction. So why are we so fascinated by it? Why do we desire it so much? You see, to many of us, there's a real magic surrounding flowers. They're not going to change the world just like that. But actually, they do have the power to change a flower lover's world. So to those of you who don't yet feel it, listen carefully, because it might change your life. It might improve your love life, you never know. Because to a flower lover, these wonderful miracles of nature represent total indulgence, beauty for the sake of beauty. They're absolute soul food to us. So a beautiful arrangement will absolutely capture the attention of all who see it. And actually, that's not least because of the transience of flowers. You see, we have to enjoy them while we have them. They don't last forever. But they leave behind them the memory of the beautiful colours and the beautiful fragrances. But actually, I think what's more important to us is that they leave behind the emotion with which the flowers were sent. And I think that is such an important thing for us to be able to do that. I'm just going to place a few of these flowers in here so you can see. So when did the fascination with flowers begin? Well, I found evidence that the ancient Egyptians used flowers for special occasions, for ceremonies. They'd have them in vases, they'd have them on tables. And in medieval times, the ladies would carry a little posy of flowers, much smaller than that actually, and it was fragrant. It was made up of herbs and fragrant flowers, and it was called a nosegay. Sounds lovely, doesn't it, a nosegay? And nosegay literally means to keep the nose happy. So you're probably a few steps ahead of me here in realizing that, in fact, the hygiene in medieval times was non-existent. Not to put too fine a point on it, people stank. So the ladies would put their noses in their posies to combat the smells. Not quite so pretty now, is it, a nosegay? But a very useful thing, I think. And then if we move on to Victorian times, the Victorians found flowers incredibly important because, you see, with their stiff upper lip culture, it was really frowned upon to have open displays of emotion of any kind. But of course, they still had those emotions. And in order to show them, they did it secretly. So they would actually use the language of flowers. So every flower had a meaning. And in fact, even the hand that the flower was presented in was significant. So we all know today, I think, that a red rose means I love you. But in fact, if you present a flower upside down, it has the opposite effect. It's quite an interesting one, isn't it? And a lot of the other meanings of flowers have actually got lost in time, but I've been doing a little bit of research, and did you know that if you gave an orchid to somebody, it could mean, because often there's several meanings, I desire you. Seen a few faces out there going, oh my word, I gave my auntie an orchid. Don't worry, it's got lost in time. We'll leave it there. And I just find the whole language of flowers incredibly interesting. So this arrangement that I'm doing here has got a very powerful message because of the flowers I've chosen. So these beautiful bird of paradise tell us to give flight to our dreams. And I think that's a lovely, strong message for us all. And then we've got some very pretty bouvardia here. And bouvardia, that tells us that there are unseen energies at force to assist our way. So putting those in here, I think just feels right. I've been putting the hydrangeas low down there. And please don't hate me for it. I know often people tell me off for cutting flowers quite so low, but if you cut them down, they last a little bit longer. So I do feel I'm sort of extending the life a little bit. And the meaning of hydrangeas is to create our own destiny. And then I've got some beautiful delphiniums here. And these delphiniums tell us of infinite possibilities, which again, I think it all comes together to be a really lovely, powerful message. Quite nice for somebody starting a business, starting a new job, having a new home, all of those things. I think we can send that lovely message. So my next question really would be, I wonder what this one means. Well, I haven't been able to find the meaning of it, so I'm actually going to send a few into the audience to sort of see if it makes you think of something. So I'm just going to throw them out. I've got a couple here. There's some coming from the sides as well. There's another one. Now, if I tell you that it's the family Asclepia, its variety name is Moby Dick, and its common name, it gets worse, bishop's balls. Everybody's throwing them out now, aren't they? They don't want them. I'm sorry, forgive me, but I can never resist. I just think that one makes me laugh so much. And I've got another one here, which is an absolute beauty, a tropical Anthurium. And I do know the meaning behind this one. It's irresistible. And the common name, again, always makes me laugh. Naughty little boys, that one. But joking aside, flowers actually give us that wonderful way of communication without words. And to give flowers as a token of love just taps into our most primal urges. It brings out the instinct of hunter-gatherer to find the most glorious blooms and present them to the object of our desire. I think just sends such a strong message of being able to provide the best of everything. And this bouquet behind me would absolutely do that, I think. And guys and girls, because a lot of men love flowers, girls, in case you don't know, seriously. If you sent that or returned home with it for a flower lover, then there's a good chance that whatever your question, the answer would be yes. And it's not actually about getting the biggest bunch of flowers either. It's just about finding exquisite flowers. One favourite flower, beautifully presented, sends such a strong message. And I think then the choice to multiply that out and send more simply multiplies the message out. But to me, the meaning of flowers actually goes way beyond their natural beauty and their hidden meanings, because they've been the vehicle of my creativity now for over 37 years. My paint palette, if you will. And through customer orders, demonstrations, presentations, exhibitions, they've taken me on this amazing journey. I've been to see great places, I've made wonderful friends. My goodness, I've been on a learning curve like that. I've even got to stand on the TED stage. It's just such a privilege to work with these beautiful things. And I've often arrived at a venue to do a demonstration, and I've heard a voice behind me. "Hi there, I'm Carol, you're staying with me tonight." You might think that was quite daunting, but do you know what? Every single time that I did that, I had a great night finding out about somebody I'd never met before, realising that we'd got friends in common, and that didn't matter where in the world I was. Flowers are like that. You know, it just brings people together. Once you've met somebody or somebody knows somebody, you've got great friends. But I could never have imagined, actually, that through teaching at my flower school, I was going to end up on a wonderful project to take this glorious town to the Chelsea Flower Show. You see, one of my attendees was a garden designer, and she'd exhibited at several other RHS shows, but she'd always wanted to do the big one. And I'd been lucky enough to have 3 gold medals from Chelsea for professional floristry. I'd always wanted to work on one of those big exhibits in the Great Pavilion. So we got our inspiration, of course, from this beautiful town and the gardens, and we called it the Garden Town of Shakespeareland. So it seemed appropriate to approach the Leamington Spa bid and say, should we do it as a town project? And our journey began. And not only did I end up working on a project of my dreams with a fantastic team, but I just learnt so much from it. I was out of my comfort zone in so many different ways. And it was wonderful to come back to the town with a medal. And I have to say we were incredibly relieved because it was such a big project to do that. But what I hadn't anticipated was coming out the other side of it with a skill that I'd always wanted. You see, we were asked by the project manager to draw our designs for the catalogue. And I have to be honest here, I was really nervous about this because between you and me, I failed my Art O-level spectacularly. I always loved being creative. I always wanted to be able to draw, but it just wasn't there at that time. And I tried several times since, still wasn't there. So when I said, but I can't draw, I just heard, nonsense, it's just the same creativity you use in your flower designs. It's just a different medium. So there's no answer to this. You know, this is a project that I really, really want. So many people had put so much time, so much money, so much goodwill into making it happen. I just thought I've got to find a way to do it. So I locked myself away in a room with every medium I could think of and set about trying to bring the designs to life. Thankfully, I got to a point where I came out with something I was quite pleased with. Thankfully, so was the project manager. And I discovered drawing. And it just opened up a whole new world for me. I was very surprised to find out that my medium was the most unforgiving one. It was ink. You see, you can't rub it out. You have to make every line count, or you throw away a drawing that you've been working on for hours. It took pinpoint focus. And for those people who know me in the room, that was a completely new experience for me at 47, pinpoint focus. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I think through realizing that for many people, the color of flowers was one of the most compelling parts about them, I'd always been fascinated by texture. So to draw in black and white, it sort of gave me the opportunity to bring out the lovely textures in flowers without them hiding behind the colours. And the transience is obviously a beautiful part about them because when you have these in your house, you will look at them every minute that you can because you know you won't have them forever. And I think that's really special. But actually, as an artist, it just limited my creativity. I could only work on a flower design when I had a purpose for that particular design. So I did find myself in lots of situations of demonstrations and competitions to do that. But with drawing, I can draw any time, and I can put it away, and I can get it back out again, and I can carry on working on it. And it just opened up so much for me. And in fact, it fed my floral addiction because I just realized that the vehicle to spread the power of the flower had suddenly doubled. And in fact, it soon trebled when I realized that the drawings that I was doing were, whilst quite traditional, had a slightly contemporary edge to them. And I thought, they'd look nice on things like fine bone china and candle votives and textiles and interiors. I just love designing products. And I've also been drawing on ostrich eggs and designing tattoos. And I'm thinking, wow, where is my botanical journey going to take me next? And I thought, some of my favourite botanicals are trapped in bottles. Perhaps, you never know, one day I might find a great mix of botanicals and I might draw the bottle. None of us know that yet. But actually, one thing that I do know is I've now become a flower graffiti rebel. I'm planting flowers in people's homes, 365, 24/7. And I've realised that actually the power of the flower, it can never be underestimated. It's infinite. So I'm really hoping that you'll take your Sweet William and you'll enjoy it. And that might be by putting it in a vase at home and enjoying it there. Or you might enjoy it even more if you give it away to somebody. And that could be the next step on your journey to exploring the power of the flower.